Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is All Things Books and Publishing with your host, Yvonne Mason and Mary Brotherton. And today we are going to talk about
Quality.
quality, making books print ready via publishing versus copying off of a copier or getting printed from Staples or UPS or wherever else people get their books printed.
Home.
Home, understand.
It's interesting because everybody who is breathing and watching this, I would think, understands that we're in a time right now where we must, for our country, not provide, what is the word? We're using tariffs on foreign-made goods to protect our American workers. And one of the most foreign-made goods out there is printer ink. Just about every printer that anybody uses is made elsewhere, and the ink is created elsewhere. And so Curtis and I were shopping online one day. We found a deal for printer ink for our printer, which made it like a third of what it would cost buying it in a local store or even ordering off Amazon. And so we got excited. We got 5 cartridges of this ink. Oh,
Horrible.
the colors just don't match. Doesn't matter what, I don't have a sample of it because I got so disgusted. It's great for black and white printing, so it'll print out your manuscript just wonderful, but it won't print out your anything in color. Then the more color, now what's funny is how you print out a test page, it comes out beautiful, matches every time. But you put something out there, like if I wanted to do my shirt, it might come out looking like this painting behind me. And you want your colors to be accurate. And I'm sorry, I just had that on my head. I had to get it out. So we ended up having to send it back and get a refund. We couldn't do the one that we opened, of course, but we sent all the ink back and got a refund. Now I've got to find another replacement for it. But printing, even if I took my printing to Office Depot, which is supposed to be really good, used to be Kinko's or combined with Kinko's or whatever, and that means copy. There's a big difference between copying 5, 20, even 30 copies in a place like that and having it mass produced. Especially the way we do our Amazon, because it's not actually mass produced, it's print on demand.
And on demand. And also, what and you and I have both been in the photography business for a long, long time.
Yes.
And contrary, ladies and gentlemen, please understand this. I've been a professional photographer, as Mary has. I've been in the business 40 years. I was in the business when I had a 35 millimeter camera. Understand that no matter how good your cell phone is, it is still a cell phone. No matter how good the camera allegedly is, it's still a cell phone. When I get photographs for a book and I try to put those photographs in that book, the pixelation is, especially once it comes to me through an email, every time you have to send a photograph through an email, it distorts and destroys the pixelations.
Yeah.
So when I'm asked to put photographs in a book, especially in color, and I have to make those photographs fit an 8.5 by 8.5 page, there's not going to be a picture. I cannot put that under our brand. I can't. If you're doing a children's book, we do graphics, not photographs, because it just will not work. I'm having a struggle with that right now because I have a children's author that is insistent that I use photographs because grandchildren and friends love the pictures. Okay, that's fine because she printed them off at Staples. There's a difference. When we publish a book, it is published on quality paper, it is quality printing, and if I put photographs in that book, it's not going to end well.
Now, didn't Sherry Richardson have photographs in hers?
She did. And
Tell us what's the difference between hers and the next person.
Sherry's pictures did not cover an entire page. They were smaller photographs that were fit into the book. They were not part of the story per se. They were added tools.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Cornfield Flyers of East Tennessee is a children's book.
Yes.
It has images that are part of the story, but they're not the full page either, are they?
Almost. They are. But they're graphics.
They are created graphics
Right.
from
Right.
they're JPEGs.
Yeah, they're not photographs from a cell phone, and they are graphics that I could stretch out to fit the page. Okay, let me go back and explain again about publishing children's books. When you publish children's books, you have to follow an explicit guideline from Amazon. It's called a bleed area. That graphic has to fit the entire page. If it doesn't, they kick it back. If it goes
yes,
over,
and back and back and back.
if it goes over, they kick it back. So, in order to make a children's book work, please don't send me photographs. We will create the graphics. If you can't, don't know how, don't want to be bothered, I have 2 programs that will do that. Mary can help me. We have that ability. But please don't send me photographs and say, Yvonne, put this photograph in this. Children's books are 8.5 by 8.5, at least 8, sometimes 8 by 8. And when you try,
notice,
go ahead.
you know, if we put the the author's photo in the book, it's small.
It's small.
Never the full page.
No,
So you can use a photograph like a thumbnail or, just a little
A
hey,
headshot.
This is what I am. But you can't make it the front and center of your children's book.
No. You can't. It will not work. Bonnie Clark, her book, Errol's Journey, she sent me photos. They were taken with a cell phone, and they were in color, and I changed them to black and white when I sent them to print because they were pixelated.
And also, if you're working on a book, color is great and grand and glorious, but for the inside of the book, the minute you put one color image in there, whether it's a photograph or something your kindergartner drew and you have on the refrigerator you took a photo of, if it's in color, the price goes up.
Exponentially. Sherry's
For
paperback.
one photo.
Sherry's paperback, The Chocolate Lover's Garden, in paperback. And this is with color photos. And I explained to her that because it is the type of book that it is, that we wanted to do the photos in color. And that it would exponentially raise the cost of the book. Her book was over 400 pages, just the book itself. When you added the photos, when you added the photos in, and the photos are like 3 by 3, they're small, It sent that book to a retail price of almost $30. The hardcover is $52. That's without tax and shipping. So understand, ladies, and photos are great, but please, not for children's books. There, I cannot put our brand on a bad product.
Well, before, excuse me, before the show started, we were talking about, goodness, the cover to my novel, Steep Steps. And you asked me, could I send you not just the front cover, which I thought I had sent, but I sent her the whole thing. But could I send her a photograph of the painting that I used for the front cover? Well, yeah, I can. In fact, I may have some of those other images that we talked about, the silhouette and whatnot. I may have those still, and if I do, I'll just send you what I've gotten. You can pick if you like them or not, and then go from there. But she thought that I was married to the back cover, which I'm not. And so I said, no, just the back cover just needs to be a solid background and with the description on it. So even if it's not a children's book, anything that is going to be an image has to adhere to certain standards. Because if it doesn't, it won't work. It just won't work.
And I don't want to deny a writer their story because they're not flexible. But ladies and gentlemen, Mary and I pride ourselves on high standards. And if we don't hold other writers to those standards, then we're no better than the vanity presses out there that will charge you through the nose just to put garbage out there. I'm not going to put garbage out there. I can't.
And you said vanity printers that charge you. Midnight Publishing does not charge a penny to the authors to help get their books out there in all four formats if they apply: paperback, digital, audio, and hardcover. Your book has to be a certain number of pages, has to be 79 pages
79.
to qualify for a hard copy. Otherwise, it's just going to be paperback, but that's fine too. The thing is that if your publisher is asking you to do something, you need to let the publisher do what the publisher does. Don't try to argue. And for God's sake, if you're not paying anything, take the help and be grateful. Now, if I was paying for you to publish my books, I might argue with you. No, I'm paying you to do this and you do it my way. But then even with other vanity publishers, half the time, if you tell them that, they'll say, oh, well, we'll give you back half of your deposit, or we'll give you some of you go find somebody else. We're not going to work with you anymore. You've lost this $3,200 or whatever. It's just, I just can't imagine that if somebody wants to argue with you and you're not charging them a penny. Not a single penny.
I understand the concept behind this particular author's thought process. I understand the concept. However, you and I have been in this business a hot minute. I've been in this business 20 years. 20 years. I've made mistakes. I've screwed up. I've learned from those mistakes. What y'all don't see on the backside, when I'm sitting here working on books, and Mary will tell you, I spend days on one book. It doesn't go out until it's right. And once I put it up there, it doesn't go to publish until I'm happy with it. And I know what works. And if it's not broke, we're not fixing it. We're
Yvonne,
not
how many bestsellers have you written and published on your own?
too many to count.
Give me a ballpark.
Four,
Five,
five, five,
50,
five.
five-time best-selling author here, ladies and gentlemen. Plus, her books have been turned into film. So she does know what she's doing. Not only is she a great storyteller, but she's done it all herself.
Thank God.
Because there was nobody else. Well, yeah, you had help for a minute, but you learned.
I did.
And Yvonne and I are we both, like she said, we've both been in the business a hot minute. We've both been in different sides of the business. And I mean, I was in the newspaper business when I met Yvonne. And then I moved over toward magazines. And then I started thinking, the charity I was working with could do books. So we started publishing our own books. And we were doing it the hard way. If there's a hard way, Mary is going to do it like nobody's business. But then along came Sally. No, another song. Along came Yvonne.
Long came Jones. Yeah, okay.
Oh man, talk about dating yourself.
No,
So
Lord.
Yvonne and Midnight Publishing came along, and I told her yesterday. She mentioned another author that was butting heads with her, and I said, "Oh, good. I'm not your only problem child today." Because well, Yvonne and almost anybody who knows me knows I will argue with God. If Jesus Christ himself came here and sat down with me and said, Mary, I would like for you to make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I'd start making, he said, would you mind putting the jelly on a little less or a little more peanut butter, get heavy with it? I'd stand there and argue with the way I think my way is the best way. Not that I mean any disrespect or that I'm a heretic. It's just my husband says I would argue with a lamppost, and I just look at him and say, "Okay, post." I, just call him a lamppost. But I understand the need, the desire, the habit, or the compulsion. That's the word I'm looking for. Sometimes writers have to fish for words, especially when we're talking out loud. But the compulsion to do it my way or the highway. There is a need for some people like me. I'm embracing my flaws today, folks. But I know that I have this habit of wanting to argue my way's better, or let me try to convince you to do it my way instead of following somebody who's been doing it practically a third of her life. So Yvonne's been doing this and she's been successful at it. She's helped other authors become successful. And I'm almost to the point where I can just send her my manuscript and say, okay, you do what you want to with it.
I learned a long time ago, and when my children were small, I used to pray for patience. So I got sent trials and tribulations because that's the only way that you learn patience. God just doesn't drop patience on your head and say, okay, you're good now. So I quit praying for patience. Instead, I prayed for strength to deal with these many stupid people. So all three of my children have this same character trait. And my grandchildren are the same way. They will argue with me just for the sake of an argument. So after the second time around, this is what I say. Okay, do it your way. But when you do it your way and
Don't come
it
back to me.
screws up, don't come back to Nana because I won't be available. End of story.
Yeah,
So,
and you don't argue with experience. That's what I'm learning. Yvonne, like she said, we both have been in the industry for a hot minute, but the industry can be different things to different people.
right.
Um, Magazines, newspapers, and books are three different beasts of the publishing world.
And the thing,
And Yvonne has worked with Midnight Publishing and with her other publisher before Midnight long enough to know what works.
and
And
it
my
ain't
father
free.
used to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And unless someone has been a publisher, somebody says, "Well, I'm an author. I have published works." That is completely different,
Uh
ladies and
huh.
gentlemen. Completely different than doing the publishing.
Yes.
Doing the publishing makes the publisher responsible for the finished product. Midnight Publishing has a good name out there. In fact, Sherry said, "Yvonne, I've got a children's author I want to send you." I said, "Perfect, send it." But our brand is important to us. And I'm including Mary in this because Mary helps me more than y'all know.
I can't help myself.
And we have
Curtis asked me this morning, "What's on your plate for today?" I said, "Oh, it's Midnight Publishing Podcast Day," and he just kind of looked at me. I knew without hearing him say the words,
yeah,
you traded one business for another business, but I actually traded one stressor
for
for
less.
something that gives me so much pleasure. And also because this is something else, people. Yvonne is the publisher. This is on her. I can give her my manuscript and walk away.
She can.
It has even though I don't. I mean, I've spent the last what month, almost maybe 6 weeks, creating imprints, and that takes time.
It does.
It's time that I enjoy very much. And most of the imprints, Yvonne and I brainstormed over, and we came up with a name before we came up with an image. Oh, did you go over the votes today?
No, we have not gotten there yet. But
Yeah, because
the thing is with Mary doing the imprints, there's no timeline. She doesn't have to stress over it.
no,
She doesn't have to stress over a
but
deadline.
I do anyway.
And that's on you. She doesn't
I
have
know.
she doesn't have to stress over the deadline for her books like she used to have to stress over the deadline for her magazine. And she would have people that were supposed to be sending her articles that would go, "Oh, I forgot. Can you give me a day?" "No, it's going to press tomorrow." "What part of
Yeah,
stupid are you?" We don't do that here. So the difference is she's not, I'm going to say you're not stressed, and that's what Curtis
yeah.
fails to understand. There's no stress there. If Mary wants to do an imprint today, she does one. If she doesn't, it's no big deal.
And if I wanted to sleep in today and not do this show, I would have just texted Yvonne, "I can't make it," and she'd have
And
said,
I
"Okay,
say,
no
fine,
problem."
no worries. And but we have to. I can't stress it enough. Please, ladies and gentlemen, just do what I ask you to do. I do not want to deny any author. I don't. But it's getting to the point that if you can't do what I ask you to do, I may have to say no. I can't. I don't want to hurt anyone because I believe everybody deserves a chance to be heard, seen, and read. But if you can't do what I ask you to do, then I'm spinning my wheels. And it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to me, it's not fair to my other authors.
And maybe this is something we need to write and update our guidelines. Have a section for the children's books
I
so that
agree.
they know up front what is and what is not acceptable.
And it's not because we don't love photographs. We
It's
do.
just it takes a very, very special camera
Yeah.
and photographer to capture an image that will translate well into a book.
And
Now, I'm also intending. This is another. I get all these ideas, or people suggest a book I should write. Um, I would like to find a way, and I've got to figure out if I've got the skills to turn some of my art into a coffee table book. And I mean, I've done it in the past. I created one for my husband, I created one for his father, just from my photographs and my words. And it was, both of them were highly appreciated. But to sell it on the market and just to create one copy is a different story. There are organizations out there. I think I used Snapfish, but there are dozens of organizations out there that cater to creating photo books. And if all you're going to do is a photo book that you want your photos in, I highly recommend you go and hire them to do your work. Because it's not, if Yvonne says this isn't up to my standard, then believe me, it's not going to work.
it's sad. And then another thing, what especially children's authors have to think about is you are you are not putting this book out there just for friends and family. You're wanting to reach a market. And not everybody wants to see photographs of someone's posterior end while they're looking for something else. Just saying.
No, I think if I bought a book that had somebody bent over in a photo, I'd send it back to Amazon and say this is not what I wanted.
This is what I'm running up against. And it's sad because this book is a cute little book. It is a darling little book.
Now, if the book was called "The Dog's Behind," what is the dog behind, or something like that, and every picture had somebody's backside, it would be funny. But just because you have the ability to take a photograph doesn't mean you know how to take a photograph.
Well, you know what I used to tell people when I was doing photography for the National JCI Senate and the State Senate? Somebody said, Yvonne, anybody can take a picture. I said, you're right. Anybody can take a picture, but not everyone is a photographer. Two different animals.
Yes.
And especially with cell phones, I get this all the time. Well, my cell phone takes as good a picture as a camera on a small level. But when you take that small picture and you pixelate it across an entire page, no. Okay, somebody's going to say, what are pixels? Pixels are the dots that connect together to form the picture. And especially in color pictures, if you take a small picture and you try to make it this big, all you're going to get is dots and blurs. And Mary will tell you, because trying to put things in the magazine, she had to be very careful of the size of the pixelation, of the depth of what she's trying to capture. And I'm sure,
And something that I learned early on, don't assume that you know what's going to work. I used to crop images and send them in to the newspaper. And she kept asking me, Mary, are you cropping your pictures? I said, yeah, trying to give you exactly what you want. She said, no, stop. Because what happens when you crop a picture or do any kind of editing to that photograph, you're changing the focus
yes,
and you're changing the number of pixels. If, I mean, dots, if you've ever heard anybody say, I need a minimum of 300 DPI,
mm-hmm.
that's dots per inch. So if you need 300 dots per inch, and you've got that in a photograph that's this big, well, when you when you take that and you spread it out to make it fit the page, that dots per inch grows. So instead of having 300 DPI, you're going to have maybe 20 DPI. And that makes the picture look muddy or gray or just blurry.
Yep.
And you don't want that. You want to be able to take a photograph that will pop right into an 8.5 by 8.5 or 8 by 8 and be done. You know, you want to have it magically just pop in. And we even have this with images. If we create an image using AI, or I do a lot of my own painting and sketching, and if I take a photograph of a sketch of a billy goat, and it's not large enough to fit the page, it's going to look blurry.
Muddy. And even with the programs that I have, and my programs are magical, and I've been working with these programs for years. There's just some things you cannot fix. You can't. And people need to understand that. It's not that we're trying to inhibit your creative ability. We encourage it, but there are boundaries. Even another publisher would say the same thing. One or two things are going to happen. The photograph's going to be so big that it's going to be, like Mary said, muddy, gray, fuzzy, or it's going to be so small
That you can't see it.
you can't see it. So, especially with children's books, please, 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 I'm begging you, if you want a quality product, either give us graphics or let us create the graphics. We have the ability to do it. And it'll be just as cute as it can be. And this particular book was going to be the first book under the children's imprint. We'll see. Okay, so Mary's got news. The two new imprints.
Oh, I haven't done a tally yet. Let me slip over here to Facebook and check it out. I haven't counted them yet. Today has not been a Mary on the internet day. Not yet.
That's quite all right. That's perfectly
Yeah,
all
we're,
right.
we're going to get there. I think I already know. Oh, come on, open up. You can do it.
While she's doing that, I want to let everyone know yesterday, and y'all know how I work. Yesterday, Errol's Journey went up on hardback. It's Errol's Journey by Bonnie Clark. I'm already getting people saying, let me know when it comes out because I want the book. The Mercenary Files by Andrea Dean Van Scoyoc is ready for pre-order on Kindle. That book goes live on Kindle and in paperback on 10/20. Once it goes live on Kindle, then I will go in and make it audible. Same thing with Bonnie's book. As soon as the Kindle books goes live, I go in and make them live on Audible. And we are, Mary, you would not believe we are beginning to sell Audible books like crazy.
Nice.
I am so proud, and I have to tell Sherry Ann Richardson, I have to give her a shout out. Her Chocolate Lover's Garden is beginning to sell. I'm so proud of her. Y'all have no idea. I am watching Mary blossom, not well, Mary, and I'm watching Sherry blossom.
Mary and Sherry.
That's right. Because, see, this is what we do. When Mary puts something up and she has her promos and her daily things scheduled to come out every day, as soon as I see one, I start sharing it.
Oh my gosh, y'all, never in my life have I had anybody take such an interest in what I do. Almost everything you see that I put out on social media is going to be about books. It may be about where I'm going to be attending, like coming this weekend, I'm going to be at the Oviedo Mall, which is not far from Orlando, doing an event. I'll be selling um, my books and paintings that were inspired by my books. Um, so I'll be doing that, and Yvonne may or may not join me. She's got a lot on her plate right now. But if I'm and she's been promoting Sherry. Sherry's been going to events up in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's not even local. It's not something Yvonne can just hop on a plane and flip over to. But she promotes Sherry as if she's her next door neighbor or her best friend. This is not something that most publishers do. They'll ask you, well, what's your marketing plan? How many times a day are you going to post on X and Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook? And do you have TikTok? And do you have Snapchat? Are you on Blue Sky? Well, how many times a day are you going to post on each of those platforms? And you look at the publisher and you go, well, I thought you would do that for me. No, they don't.
Mm-mm. If they
And
do,
if
they
you
charge you.
and if you post yourself, they might occasionally share it, but usually they don't even share your post. Let alone, not only does Yvonne share what I and other writers put out here, she creates her own messages of encouragement and sends them out to us. And you, not just to us. I mean, she shares them with the world. So don't think that Yvonne's just sitting here making money hand over fist selling our books for us, because she doesn't make a penny.
I do not.
She doesn't charge. And I will tell them the reason, because I know, unless you want to tell it, but I know the reason. And that's why I do this podcast. That's why I created the imprints, because God has blessed both of us in so many profound ways. If you can't give back to the community that you say you love, you don't need to be in it.
No, you don't.
And Yvonne is giving back. I'm giving back. And if it boosts our sales, great. But we just want to boost our fellow authors.
Well, I've seen a complete about face in Sherry.
Oh, yes.
Her
I can
poster
tell
was
you, when
positive.
I first met Sherry online, she was rather small and
Mhm.
timid. And now Sherry's like, here I am.
Here I am, world. And it's all because, and I don't want to say it's all because, but it's because she allowed her dream to be real. She was hesitant when she asked me. She was really hesitant, and I'm going to tell you, Chocolate Lover's Garden was a challenge. When I saw that picture that they took of her holding that book when she got it in her hand.
It was
It
pure
was
joy.
worth it. It was worth the challenge because she has blossomed so much. She's all over the place now, ladies and gentlemen, and I mean she is out there killing it. That is why we do what we do here.
And the beauty of her book is she can take it to a homeowners convention
Yep,
where they have kitchen items for
yep,
sale. She can take it to, uh, well, it's not fiction, it's nonfiction, right?
right. It's a cookbook, a history book, a baker's book, a gardening book. She can take
So
it to
she can
art.
take it and sell it at a garden center.
Yes,
She can, she can maybe go to a museum and ask them to run it in her gift shop for historical purposes. There's so many places that she can put this book and get the recognition she needs. But she's doing
absolutely.
that already.
In fact, she just came from a giving a speech about the history of the cocoa plant and how it can be grown in a greenhouse and her trial and error in doing that and the fact that the cocoa bean is true chocolate. What we buy in the store is not true
Sugar.
chocolate.
Sugar and wax.
That's all it is. The cocoa bean was at one time used as currency by the Mayas, and I did not know that till I was working on her book. The Spanish came, took the cocoa bean back with them, and at one time only royalty was allowed to have hot chocolate.
Hmm.
I learned all of this in her book.
Yeah.
She bakes with it, she cooks with it.
Oh, just wait till you learn what's in Steep Steps.
Oh, yeah,
Woo!
it's coming. So, so you see, I can't reiterate enough. Doing what I do by the grace of God, and thank you, God, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. When I see joy on Mary's face, when I see joy on Sherry's face, when I see Andrea's excitement when new books are being put out and put everywhere, when I see Bonnie Clark
Oh,
almost
yeah.
in tears because Errol's journey is coming out, that is the payment.
And speaking of Bonnie Clark, I'm going to segue back to the imprints because I did a little check. And Bonnie was the very first person who um, voted in the romance imprint. The last two imprints that we put out didn't get a lot of votes like previous ones did.
Right.
I guess maybe people are tired of voting.
Then we'll just
So
pick our own.
we'll just choose our own and that'll be fine. But I do have a tally for the two imprints that are out there for voting right now. The romance imprint is called Apotheosis. And
Nice.
as I explained last week, apotheosis means perfection, perfectionism. It's like um, when you elevate a human to the status of a god, because when romance is strong and love is new, people tend to think of their love interest as a god or a goddess, or, my queen. So apotheosis is just putting them above all else. And overwhelmingly, 100% overwhelmingly, the votes that got the image that got the most votes were of a fire. It looks like it's on fire. A heart that's made of fire, basically, with an infinity sign in it,
Nice.
because love is supposed to be forever. And then we also, on the opposite end of the spectrum had voting for 113, which is our true crimes imprint. And the reason we chose the number 113 is because that's the average IQ of serial killers. Yvonne and I might have 111. No. But the average, we might have 111 combined. 55 for me and 56 for her. General people in the population have about 100. Some may be 98, some may be 104, but generally the average for most people is 100. But serial killers tend to be a little smarter than the rest of us. That's why they get away with it for a while.
For a while. For a while.
But they don't get away with it forever.
No, they do not, because they're not smarter than. And the thing with serial killers, and the thing with people who commit crimes in general, is in the moment they may think they're smarter than the cops, but that is their downfall.
Yes.
Because then they start making mistakes because
They get cocky and they forget.
catch me if you can. Well, they do. They get caught. And was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I did my live on my 3 true crimes, and it may be time to do another true crime. I'm feeling that itch.
I figured you had somebody in your sights by now.
So it's been a hot minute. The last one was the one in Oregon, and that guy's out of prison. Oregon has one of the most lax criminal justice systems I have ever seen.
Well, it's interesting that my novel is set in Oregon.
It is very interesting.
Steep Steps is set in Oregon, and I know enough about Oregon to put in a thimble, but I know a lot more now because I researched it. And I had a friend of mine ask me, he's a native Oregonite, and he goes, "How long did you live in Oregon?" Never set foot in the state, but I researched. He said, "I would have thought that you were either born and raised there or lived there for 5 to 10 years because you wrote it like you know it."
And let's talk about that for a minute. Mary brought up a very good point. We as writers say, write what you know. And if you don't know what you're writing about, research it to death. And there is a reason for that. If you're writing, like she based her book in the state of Oregon, and the friend said, "How long did you live there?" When people read a book and they can put themselves in that book, they've either lived there, visited there, know somebody that lives there, it is more enjoyable for them.
And if you're writing about outer space or under the ocean or your next door neighbor, you still need to do the research.
Yep.
Maybe you've never been there, but with today's technology and the information we have available on the internet, it is blasphemous, I think, to not research at least a little bit and get your facts straight, because people, I can't speak for all people in the world, but I would say the majority of historical fiction and other fiction readers, they're reading it for an escape. They're reading it to take a moment, or in the case of Murder in the Village, 2 days to just not be involved in the world. I could have gotten through it in a sitting, but I did have to get up and go to the bathroom at times. But no, I mean, there are some books that from the moment you start reading them, you cannot put it down. And you want to be swept away into another world But you have to believe that that world is real, and
Yes.
that you could actually go into that world and live. Doesn't matter if it's the world of the Smurfs or the world of Sally's Heart. I mean, you write a book, but you want your readers to go, oh, I see why that happened that way.
And you also, there's an old adage that, do you want to just read the book for the sake of reading the book, or do you want to experience being in the book, so when you turn that last page you go, oh no, I'm done.
Yeah.
You're
But it's a
disappointed not in the,
satisfying ending.
yeah, you're not disappointed in the book, you're disappointed that the book is done, that you
Yeah,
finished
you
it.
want more.
You want more of it. With the Mad Hatter, which is set in 1888 in the
Yeah, and
East
you
End of
certainly didn't
London.
live then.
I did. Known as Whitechapel. We all, well, most of us know what happened in the year of our Lord, 1888. One of my term papers in college was about the Ripper. I wanted to do a book called talk that the main character was a hat maker and owned a haberdashery, a hat making factory in the East End of London, right on the Thames River. It took me 4 years, ladies and gentlemen, to put that book together. And the reason for that, I ordered this huge map of the East End of London in 1888. I had my term paper and all of the research I did for that term paper. Even though it wasn't about Jack the Ripper, his victims were in the book as friends of my female character. What I found out is the reason they call them Mad Hatters was because they used animal skins to make the hats with. In order to cure those animal skins and make them pliable, they used mercury.
Yep.
Mercury seeps into the skin. Mercury causes insanity. So, hence the term mad as a hatter.
Yep. They weren't talking about temper tantrums.
No. And they weren't talking about the Mad Hatter and Alice in Wonderland. People literally went mad you because they used mercury. And did you also they know that they used urine to tan those hides? So people would collect urines in their chamber pots and take them to the factories and sell it. I'm telling you.
Yep.
This is what you find out when you research for a book. And it's Tim Dorsey, one of my favorite authors, and I have my picture with him. He died not too long ago, which pissed me off at him because now there's no more Serge Storm. He's a Florida author. And the first time I listened to him, I laughed till I cried. He would take road trips and go throughout the entire state of Florida and stop at these little out of the way places and put them in his books. It did two things. Number one, it made you into the book, and two, it made you want to go visit those places.
Yeah.
He was a fantastic author, and he did not rush through writing his books. He did his homework. He did his research, and he literally went to those places because he could. If you can't, that's fine. That's why we have the internet. And it's like Mary said, even if you're doing outer space or in the ocean, there's so much out there. Make your book where I want to get into it. As your publisher, Earl's Journey, that was very difficult because it opened up a whole old wound. The Mercenary Files,
Andrea Smoot.
she cannot stop writing about this character. This character is one bad woman. The synopsis of the book is this young naive woman goes over to Prague, and if you don't know about Prague, look it up. It used to be one of the Cold War countries, cities. She winds up in prison because she killed two people because they were doing the fairy sex tour. And so this secret organization comes to her and says, you got two choices. You can rot in this foreign prison or you can come work for us. She's a hired mercenary. What decision does she make? So Andrea, yeah, exactly. So Andrea, honey, you just whetted the appetite of this old white woman. Mary's book, Steep Steps, people are already screaming for more, so I'm going to throw
Yeah,
that one.
I've got to find time to write a sequel to this book. But I think before I do that, I'm going to get some of my children's books out. I mean,
Good.
one of them, I'm creating the illustrations myself by hand. I'm drawing them, and that takes time.
It does.
Um, but I may change my mind, but right now I'm planning to finish drawing them. But I've got a book about grandfathers. I've got a book about young writers. Um, I've got 2 books about possibilities, I'm calling them. Imagination. If a child's sitting there going, if I could only be, I could be this, I could do that. If I could be this, I could do that. But then it brings them back to reality. Because, you know, if I could be a mermaid, which I think I was in a previous lifetime, but if I could be a mermaid, I could swim and I could eat seaweed instead of kale for breakfast. But if I was a mermaid, then I wouldn't be able to sit on my grandma's lap.
There you go.
Or I'd play with guppies instead of puppies. So, you know, there are a lot of ways to write something like that. I'm writing a book. I think it's nearly done. Got to illustrate it next. About, and this was one that was requested of me, safety, stranger danger, basically. But I want it to not just be about that. I want that to be a part of the story, but not the story.
Right.
And then I was just reading someone else's book, and I was inspired. I want to write a book about saying goodbye as a child to a parent who has a terminal disease.
That would be an excellent book.
It-
Because a
it's-
lot of adults don't know how to say goodbye.
No. And I got the idea while I was reading this book right here, In My Mind's Eye,
Nice.
by Lisa Hull, self-published. She's unhappy with it. She didn't like the way it was printed or formatted or edited. She and I traded books one day, and it's a cute, heartwarming, heart-moving, stirring story about her spiritual growth while her best friend was dying, and what she had to go through to get to where she is today, and how she still interacts with her friend even after she's long gone. So she wrote something in there about how her friend Lucretia had to tell her daughter that she was dying, and someone beat her to the punch.
That should never happen.
No.
That's just wrong on so
Stepmom.
many levels. That was not their story to tell.
No.
I hate when people do that. It's like they can't wait to give bad news.
Uh-huh. But why would you do that to an 8-year-old?
Self-centered, selfish, and self-serving. Did I say all that in one sentence? Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's another thing you will learn about me. I just call it like it is.
Yeah, I think that's why I love working with you, because you're probably the only person other than me that has absolutely no filter for her mouth.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
If you're hearing the things I say, can you imagine the things that I'm not saying? Just
ooh.
saying. Just saying. We talked about it's too late this year, next year, finding a place where they won't charge us to hold a, for lack of a better word, writing seminar on, and not necessarily, ladies and gentlemen, what to write or how to tell your story, but the basics, like please don't send me photographs for a children's book, why it's important that we need New Times Roman 12 point font, basic things like that. And our, what I'm asking you to do is, and Mary will tell you because she, like me, has been in this business a hot minute. When when a publisher agrees to publish you, they will send you 3 to 4 pages of things they want you to do. If you,
Guidelines.
if you miss one of those, just one, they will kick it back.
We call them guidelines, but they're really law.
They're really they're written in stone, and they will kick it back. And they will say, "We ask you not to do this. We ask you to do it this way. When you send it to us, it goes to the bottom of the pile. You start all over again." What I ask here is 12-point font, no page numberings, no headers. And if you don't know how to put it on a 6x9 page, that's fine. Just send it to me in a Word doc. But it has to be a completed Word doc with
And don't
chapters.
send chapters. Don't send a part of a poem.
No. Um, a completed manuscript with chapters. If you don't have a table of contents, I'll create it because I have to have it for Audible. It's no big deal. Don't number your table of contents because then I have to go back and change it.
Talking about page numbers.
Yes, please don't put page numbers anywhere because by the time I put the title page and send it down to a 6x9, and also paragraphs, please do not put spaces between your paragraphs, and don't put spaces between your sentences, single spaced, and all
And you don't
paragraphs
want your book looking like this.
correct. No, I
You
do
want
not.
it, you want it to look like this.
Correct. There's 2 reasons for that. Number one, the more pages that are created for publication, the higher the cost. Number two, when you have white space, and Mary knows what white space is, when you have white space, it distracts the reader. The reader wants to just go from line to line to line without having to look for where the next line is. Please do not send me sentences with parentheses
Oh God, no.
in the middle of a sentence. Finish the thought and then start the other thought. In other words, I lived at B Lane. You know that lane down across? No, please stop. Because I go in and take all that out. It is too hard to read. If I have to go back and reread a sentence because there's parentheses with an afterthought in the middle of that sentence, no. Finish the thought. Then if you want to add another sentence with what was in that within those parentheses, do. But please do not send me parentheses. No.
And don't write words in all cap letters. Don't try to bold the letters and make, oh, it's so important, they gotta see it. It's okay if you need to italicize something. If it's a foreign word, you italicize it. Some writers do a person's thoughts in italics. There are times, and you want to definitely, if you're talking about a book or a show or other creative composition in your book, you have to italicize it. That's
Right.
just the way it is. But
Don't make the whole
otherwise,
book italics.
don't format it. Indent it, 2 spaces, just 2 little spaces,
Two.
and do it single space. And when you're doing your single space, check, because some people's word program is automatically set to leave 8 points between lines.
And we don't want
You don't want that. And if you don't know how, ask us. Just reach out to either Yvonne or me. Leave us a message on Facebook or email us. Our emails are all over the world. You can't miss us. But just ask us, say I'm formatting a book or writing my book, and my Microsoft Word comes up automatically with this multiple spacing. How do I fix that?
You go
We
under
can tell you.
paragraph. You go under paragraph, and it says spacing. You click on the down arrow, and you say single. Then you click over where it says do not add spaces between paragraphs. You click that. You hit OK, and boom,
Yep.
boom, it's done. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why I ask for that. Again, I've been doing this a long, long time. Even in magazines and newspapers, space is limited. We want to keep these books affordable,
Yes.
very affordable. We want to keep them easy for the reader to enjoy. And if a reader has to look for a thought, they're not going to finish the book. If a reader has to see all this white space, they're not going to finish the book. I don't. Go
If
ahead.
they're thinking, okay, like in the case of Faith and Folly, it's 12 points, it's single spaced, it's indented 2 spaces, and it's still more than 79 pages because I have it in hardback. But in this other book that's double spaced, it's 172 pages. But if she had taken that space out between the lines, it would have been half that size.
And
It would
half
have
the
been-
price.
It would have been half the price, half the size, and maybe she didn't want it to be such a small, skinny little book. I understand that. But why ask your readers to pay for what's essentially air in a
Exactly.
book?
I wouldn't. If I'm gonna purchase a book, I'm gonna purchase the words, not the empty space.
Yeah.
And if she wants to move over to Midnight Publishing, we'll fix it. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I've been talking with her about this and trying to convince her to come over.
And ladies and gentlemen, I of all people know that your book is your baby.
Oh,
Trust
yes.
me, it is your baby. At some point, if you are genuinely embedded in putting your book out there for readers, you have to understand, while it is your book at the present, once it's out there, belongs to the world. It's no longer your baby. Think of kicking your kids out of the house when they're grown. I wanted to kick mine out at 6 weeks old like mother birds do, but that's another story for another day. But you have to also understand that if you really and truly want that book out there, you are publishing that book for the masses, not for your own enjoyment, not for family and friends, not for Joe Blow down the street. You are trying to reach a market of people. And with that market of people, there are certain things that have to be done.
They are expected by
Exactly.
those readers.
And if you are really, really committed to making your book work, we're asking you to listen. and to understand that we've been there. I know when Mary was doing her magazine, her guidelines were 12 point font, double indentation, single spaced paragraphs, you know, 500 words max. She would
That's a
get,
trick now, let me tell you.
and you had to, in those 500 words, of called flash fictions in the writing world. In those 500 words, you had to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and tie it all together. She would get articles from people that were 3 and 4 pages long. That wasn't the assignment. The assignment was tell me your story in five. I call it an elevator speech. Tell me what you need to say in 500 words.
I did a story about a local artist. She is a fabric artist, and she has won amazing awards. She's a young woman. And she asked, could she read the article before it went to press? And I said, sure. Now, Be Unique magazine was very photo rich. It was,
Very.
we used a lot of high quality photographs. And if it was a cover story, which this one was, our photographer would go, usually with me or another writer. And bear in mind, this was all volunteer. Every bit of this was volunteer. But the photographer would go and take pictures to make sure they were of a high quality and that they were minimum 300 DPI. Sometimes they were even tighter than that. And that was so that when we put the pictures on the front cover or inside, they didn't, not disintegrate. There's another word that starts with a D, but their quality was still up there. But I sent this young woman her story that I wrote, and it basically covered her life from college through the week that I wrote the article. And she called me on the phone. She said, never in my life did I think somebody could condense my life to 500 words. But you did it in such an artful way that I can't imagine adding another word to it. And that to me was the best compliment.
And it's
Some
because
people,
you knew how to use the wording.
yeah. I
And that
encourage every author to try their hand at flash fiction.
yes.
It helps you learn to be concise, to tell your story um, in fewer than 500 words. Sometimes you can enter a contest. And I've done this and I've won. And some they will say, give me a story in no more than 200 words. Now you want to talk about a challenge, but it's so much fun to do it. And it's
And
a good exercise.
the reason for that is because many authors that I have read that I will not read anymore, they get too wordy. You there's only one way to describe a blade of grass. It's green, it's tall, it's short. Those are the only descriptions for a blade of grass.
Oh no, you could say it's freshly cut.
Okay, four.
It's covered in dog poo.
But going on and on and on for three
About the
paragraphs,
qualities of a blade of grass is ridiculous.
it takes away from the story because you get lost in the weeds. So write the story, tell the story, and you can do that without killing the story.
Oh yes. You don't want to beat your characters to death with a feather.
No, because ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, if You have to understand, years and years and years ago, when I was taking the classes that I took, we were told that the average attention span and the average comprehension of an adult on a reading level. Now y'all don't beat me up on this because this was statistically proven at that time was on an 8th grade level. Now I'm not talking about the geniuses out here that know the Pythagorean theory and can quote it
Yeah.
backwards and forwards. I'm talking about the average American or the average person, period. They read and comprehend on an 8th grade level. Their attention span, and this was my public speaking classes, the attention span for someone who is doing a public speech for the person in the audience, 11 minutes max. Anything over that, and you've lost them, unless you're just really, really an entertainer. Yeah,
And that's one reason I keep my live videos under 7 minutes if I can, because I know people churn away.
they do. And it's human nature, and it's okay. So when you're writing your book, you want to keep your reader engaged to turning that page, not by a whole chapter of describing a blade of grass. Keep your reader engaged by conversation, by action, by setting, by interaction between your characters. Okay, I'm going to do a giveaway right here. In Duct Tape, Tarp, and a Shovel, I brought in 3 characters from Shady Rest. If you haven't read Shady Rest, go read it, because they're 3 characters of a certain age who voluntarily go into a rest home to solve crime. One of those characters' name is Amanda Peacock Rochester, and she is of the Atlanta Peacocks. Old family, high society, old money. She is Greer's aunt from Murder in the Village. They come into Duct Tape, Tarp, and a Shovel. Aunt Amanda is very, very witty, sharp as a tack. She and Greer are talking to Lala, the bless her heart person, and Lala is making all these insane statements. And Aunt Amanda turns to Greer and says, Greer, I don't understand what makes stupid people work. Shall we take one apart and see?
Ah, I love it.
See the reaction? That's how you keep your reader engaged. You throw stuff out there
Yeah,
that makes that reader go, what the hell? Or laugh uncontrollably. I mean, it just, or if it's a drama, you build up. And it doesn't have to be gory, it doesn't have to be a television. You can't watch a thriller or a crime movie without blood, guts, train wrecks, and leave something to the imagination. You don't have to go into graphic detail. Even with horror, you don't have to go into graphic detail. My Blood Alley is one of the, I'm very proud of that little short story. Doesn't go into graphic detail, but the secret is in the sauce. Uh, just saying. So, lady, there's all kind, and if we can figure out where we can hold this little thing for our writers next year, we'll let y'all know, because we really want to share our wisdom. Am I right?
absolutely. And we can talk about all kinds of things. I can definitely speak to editing and illustrating even. Um, it's what I've done all of my life. All of my life. My mother said I used crayon and a cereal box to to correct their mistakes. But if you know a place, preferably in Central Florida, but not necessarily, let us know a place that will allow us to do a conference. We'll call it a writers' conference.
maybe a library or a civic center that will donate a room to us.
Space. Yeah.
Um, a I know in Fort Pierce there's a place that they have a park and then they have a little building that they hold events in because we want to share the we can make this fun for you. Writing is not a chore. If it becomes a chore, stop. If it becomes a chore for you to write, don't do it anymore. Find another passion.
I agree.
So with that, because I got to go bowling now, we will close this show. I will get the back cover done for Steep Steps and work on that book.
And I will send you the two imprints for
Okay.
the newest design. And I'll just arbitrarily pick some more since apparently people are tired of voting.
Yeah, just
We'll,
I
we'll
leave that
just pick them and announce them.
I leave that in your capable hands. We think way too much alike, which is frightening. People say, "Fine, I want to get in your head." No, honey, no. Trust me.
Oh no, no.
You do not want in my head. it's crowded up
I
there.
Curtis told me a couple of days ago that he wished he could think like I did.
No.
I said, oh no, you don't.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
This is a scary place for anybody to go.
It scares me sometimes. It
Yvonne,
really
my
does.
brain. Now, I typically, before my head hits the pillow, I'm already snoring out my first snore. And Curtis has long envied my ability to sleep anywhere, at any time. But last night, I was at that point of, oh, just, I know I'm going to sleep. And a light flashed somewhere, and I woke up, and it was like they flipped the on switch. And I drifted off and on back and forth. And 3:30 this morning, I woke up, and I'm like, "This is ridiculous.
Welcome to
I
my
can't.
world.
I can't sit here with all these thoughts swirling in my head." So I
That's what
pulled out
my
my phone and my little notepad, and I started taking notes.
that when I try to go to sleep, that's when my brain kick. The voices in my head start talking. Now let me tell you what happened last week at bowling. I was at bowling, minding my own business, trying to focus on where I wanted to send that ball down the lane, and the voices are going, "Hey there, you need to put this down. Go and leave me alone. I'm busy."
Oh,
It's scary in there, people. It really,
yeah.
really is scary. So we will leave you with that thought, and we will see you next week here at 10:30. We're going to do 10:30 from now until the end of March. When I get through bowling, then we can go back to 11 if Mary's up to it. But think on these things. Please reach out. And we don't like turning people. I don't want to turn anybody away. I really don't. But and I know I say but, however, I need for y'all to listen. I really do. It's for your benefit.
We don't want to turn anybody away. We don't want to say we can't work with you. All we ask in return is that you work with us and
Exactly.
you follow what years and years and years of experience have shown us work.
And know that I'm not going to put garbage out there. I'm not. It's our brand. It's garbage in, garbage out. I'm not going to do it. We worked too hard to get here.
Yep.
Way too hard to get here. And if I don't hold Midnight Publishing up to a higher standard, what am I doing here?
Why waste your time?
I'm just like everybody else. No, we're not going to do that. So, my darling, I will stop this and I will see you next week.
Yep.
And I'll get the back cover done.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you and I love everybody watching this. You guys are the greatest. Have a great week and we'll be back next week.
See you then.
Bye.
Have the day you deserve. Bye.
Yes. Whatever that might
Whatever
be.
that is.